In Flight Day 7, Orion's optical navigation camera captured the far side of the Moon, as the spacecraft orbited 81.1 miles above the surface, heading for a distant retrograde orbit. Orion uses the optical navigation camera to capture imagery of the Earth and the Moon at different phases and distances, providing an enhanced body of data to certify its effectiveness under different lighting conditions as a way to help orient the spacecraft on future missions with crew. On the 8th day of its mission, Orion continues to travel farther away from the Moon as it prepares to enter a distant retrograde orbit. The orbit is distant in the sense that it's at a high altitude from the surface of the Moon, and it's retrograde because Orion will travel around the Moon opposite the direction the Moon travels around Earth. NASA's BioSentinel, which is a shoebox-sized CubeSat traveling far from Earth. But that also means it's closer than ever to being the first long-duration biology experiment in deep space. BioSentinel's mission operations team successfully acquired signal from the spacecraft shortly after launch on November 16, 2022, and it is currently operating as expected. BioSentinel, one of the 10 CubeSats that launched aboard Artemis I and subsequently deployed into deep space, will study the impacts of space radiation on yeast farther in deep space than ever before. Artemis missions at the Moon will prepare humans to travel on increasingly farther and longer duration missions to destinations like Mars, and BioSentinel will carry microorganisms, in the form of yeast, to fill critical gaps in knowledge about the health risks in deep space posed by space radiation. Upon initially receiving telemetry from the spacecraft at about 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time November 16, health and status data indicated the spacecraft was tumbling, and the team worked with the Deep Space Network to send commands and resolve the anomaly. The team requested and received an emergency pass from the Deep Space Network to attempt a command to detumble the spacecraft, said Matt Napoli, BioSentinel project manager at NASA's Ames Research Center in California's Silicon Valley, where the spacecraft was built and is managed. The team then sent the spacecraft a command to perform a momentum management sequence, or detumble. A couple tense hours later, at 8:05 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the team received telemetry showing the detumble was successful. Since then, the spacecraft has remained stable and has continued to perform its mission milestones, as planned. This includes its successful lunar flyby on November 22, 2022, when BioSentinel passed approximately 250 miles above the Moon's surface. And shortly after that, it successfully re-emerged from 36 minutes of darkness, while the spacecraft was eclipsed by Moon. It is again pointing its solar panels at the Sun and recharging its batteries in preparation for the start of its experiment, which is expected to begin next month.